As summer comes to an end, I sometimes feel a little sad, even though I know that the next season has its own special things to look forward to. I can't help but feel the loss as green makes way for gold and then inevitably for white. Creativity, I find, is an antidote for grief. Loss takes something and turns it into nothing, whereas creativity takes nothing and turns it into something. What can I make today? This is a question that I try to ask myself every day and then answer it in some concrete way. Sometimes I make a poem or a painting. I may sew or crochet or plant a garden. Even if I simply make my bed, I have created a cozy place to come back to at the end of the day. While I was cleaning up the yard, I had a great idea. I think I'm going to move this birch to a different location, and then I have a nice big area here where I can make a kitchen garden. So I'm going to move the river birch, and then I'm going to work on making some pine boxes. I've got a bunch of pine that I picked up for a really reasonable price. I prefer cedar because they would last longer, and I know pine will break down, and so I'll have to probably replace them at some point, but at least it'll get me going, and it'll help me to decide whether or not I want to keep them on a more permanent basis. And if at that point I do, then I'll remake the boxes. But in the meantime, that's what I've got, so that's what I'm going to use. And then I also have when we replaced our sliding glass doors last year with the double French doors, I saved the 4 panels of glass. So I've got 4 30-inch by 80-inch panels, and I'm gonna slant the top of the box a little bit so that I can lay the doors across, so that I can hopefully plant seedlings a little earlier than usually. We can't plant till May 24. And even then, sometimes we've had frosts, so I'm hoping that I can plant a little earlier next year in the spring. So I want to get these boxes done now so that I can start planting earlier in the spring. So yeah, I'm gonna make some plans, draw up some plans on paper and get some idea of what I need as far as cuts go, and grab my saw and start cutting some planks. Okay, so my glass panels are roughly 80 inches by 30 inches, and I have 4 of those. And so I'm going to make the boxes with the edges outside. So I'm going to make them I'm going to cut these 78 inches, and I'm going to cut these 30. And then I'm going to put little pieces of 2x4 in here to stabilize the corners and to give extra stability for the door to sit on top of the box. And then on the side view, for these 30-inch sides, I'm going to stack 2 up like that. And then I'm going to take a 3rd one and cut it on an angle. So we've got a bit of a slant for the glass panel to sit on. So it'll sort of look like this, right? And then this will kind of slant down like that. And that'll be like that. Sorry, that line's not there. And yeah, and so then this will be like this, and it'll be the slanted piece, and then the other 2 pieces like that. So that's kind of the rough idea, the rough shape I'm going to use. So I need for each, and this will have 2 across this way and 3 across the back. So for 80-inch pieces, I need 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for each box. So I need 5 times 4 boxes is 20 panels at 80 inch or at 78 inches. And then I need 1, 2, 3, 4, and then this one cut in half. So 5 times 4 is 20 panels at 30 inches. Seems too simple, but let's start with that. Okay, so I've got all the backs cut, the sides cut, and those little angle pieces. And that took me quite a few hours to do. It was a lot of work. And I still have a big mess to clean up. I'll show you. So I think I'm gonna stop for the day and clean up my mess and then sit down maybe and do a few more calculations and see what else I have to cut. Probably work on it again tomorrow. Okay, so it's the next morning and I've had a coffee, had a nice walk around the yard to appreciate all the beautiful fall colors. And now I'm going to start working on the garden beds. So you can see my piles in the back and it looks pretty amazing. I'm pretty proud of myself for getting all that cut yesterday. And now I'm going to take some 2x4s and cut them up and use those to assemble the beds, and we'll see how that goes. This reminds me of a poem I wrote a couple of years ago, so I'm going to share it with you now. It's called The Fall. Mother Nature, you haggard wench, throwing your autumnal tantrums, littering maple leaves and keys on lawns, shining favor on weeds that bleed in garden beds, and pardon me, but must you toss your Sharon rose in gooey purple gobs along the walk? I don't deny the splendor of your limbs, the rallying of crimson, orange, and gold, but no one mentions the messiness of death, the rattling breath of wind as colors wane and brittle leaves fall lifeless to the ground, then rain and rot and odor of decay. I was naive to think in spring that I could coddle seedlings, then sit inside and memorize their names, and through the window wait and dream of tidy borders, pink and white and green, but that season was too short. Now I am left with sedum that has split, fallen with the weight of her own glory, hydrangea that was pruned too hard and forgot to bloom, phlox that refused to hold its place, and creeping Charlie choking life with gnarled roots. God, it's all too much. It is October now, and the anemones have risen past the window. The wind is whipping their fragile heads against the pane, and I am haunted with questions. Mother, will you recover from your fall? Can I help you tidy up this mess? Where on earth did you leave your keys? Why are you being so difficult? Will you please remember my name? I hit my finger with the hammer, which kind of hurts. So I'm gonna try a screwdriver instead. Okay, so there's two finished, and they are definitely uglier than I expected, but sometimes I guess you have to choose function over beauty. I try not to do that very often, but this might be one of those times. Anyways, hopefully when they're full of greens and I've got lots of good salad stuff and vegetables next year, I'll be happy with that. So I still have to move that tree in the back, so that's not the final place where they're going to be staying, but kinda, yeah. 3 down and 1 to go. And that's the 4th one completed. It's a beautiful day out today. It's 18 degrees now and it's going up to 20. So it's perfect weather for working outside. So I got my coffee, favorite little cup. And I found this product. It's called Lifetime Wood Treatment, produced by valhalco.com, and it's a wood preservative. And it's made in BC. I talked to the lady there on the phone and she explained the product to me. It sounds perfect for my pine boxes. So you basically just mix the contents of the package, it's a powder, into a gallon of water, stir it up, let it dissolve, and then paint it or roll it onto the wood. It's eco-friendly. There's no toxic chemicals or anything in this, so it won't harm. Like, you can put it right on the inside of the box and then put your dirt in, your soil, and plant your vegetables, and it's not going to harm your food. So I thought that was amazing. Covers about 150 to 200 square feet. So I'm going to do that now and we'll see where we go. You may have noticed that the birch tree is gone. I had an arborist take a look at it, and unfortunately the tree was not in good shape. Basically, I would have had to cut a fair bit of the dead tree away, and it was unlikely that it would survive the transplant, so I decided just to remove the tree. It was a sad process, but I thought that reclaiming the spot of land for a garden that would produce food to eat was my priority. Sometimes things don't always work out the way you hoped. I also realized that the glass doors that I originally wanted to use for the tops of the garden beds were very heavy and would be hard for me to lift, to water and tend the seedlings, so my husband suggested that we could make lighter wooden frames covered with clear plastic. I'm going to wait until spring to make that decision, so I have time to think about it. In order to get the words that I wanted to transfer onto my sign, I used my printer. I chose the font I wanted, the size I wanted, and printed it landscape on legal size paper. And then I took a 2B pencil, a soft pencil, and I just colored in the back, shaded in the back of the words, and then taped it on, centered it all, and then used a harder pencil to trace all the letters to make an imprint in pencil on the sign, so then I can paint it. And you probably saw me using this ruler at the bottom, and that was so just to give my hand something to rest on, so I wasn't pressing all the lead or the pencil marks onto the sign. So then when you lift it up, you can see the basic outline. You see, this is where when I first started, you can see I was smudging the pencil a little bit. And so I realized I needed something to just keep my hand from pressing down on the pencil marks so that it would be a little cleaner. I'm pretty sure this will clean up, no problem with water once I have this painted. So now I'm going to use a different color paint and a small brush and try to paint this. Did you get that? Oh. Okay, so the sign is up, and I think I officially have a kitchen garden. So I'm really happy with how this little sign turned out. I think it's so adorable. Yeah, and there's my garden boxes. Looks so good. So this weekend I am going to start filling the boxes with leaves and some small twigs and branches and a variety of things to fill the bottom, and then I'm going to get a load of topsoil and I will be ready to go for the spring.